Okay, everybody, welcome back. Welcome to what I am led to believe is going to be the final episode of streams in the Phantasy Star Universe saga for us. The odds of me streaming any online content for this game, are very, very low. Oh no, they do not speak that loudly, I don't think, that I'd be able to hear through the door, but it is a possibility, I suppose. Anyway, this is my chat window not showing up properly on my display. Interesting. Let me try hiding and displaying the overlay, because it's showing up properly in OBS, but it's not showing up on the chat, the stream layout. That is very weird. I think I need a different solution other than Streamlabs, Stream Elements. Because remember, that also had notification issues, but of course we haven't had to deal with that in some time because I'm streaming at a time of the day when I thought that, oh, it would be better for some people that I know so they'd be able to catch my streams. And, like, none of them show up. And now the regular people that I have basically can't show up either because they're all asleep by now. Oh well. A plan sounds like a good idea until it's not. Let's go ahead and embark on this mission, Chapter 9. At the very least, this is a Sega game where they're using the term genocide in a manner that is not overblown. This is not the old version of Sonic 2 that was originally going to feature a zone called Genocide City. Which it did not for very long, that's for sure. Because somebody quite rightly said, hey, maybe you should not use that word so lightly, even if it sounds quote-unquote cool or whatever in English. And it was dropped with all due haste before the game ever came out. So yes, there are 2 chapters of story left, and as you may or may not be aware at this point, I am not certain that I have a following of people who are that big of fans of this game, and this is something that I learned only in the last few months. There is an episode 3 of Phantasy Star Universe. It was available online only. You had to log on and play the missions online, and I believe it required you to own Ambition of the Illuminus to begin with. So, there is a problem with that. This game's servers, official servers at least, have been offline for 10 years. There's a private server now. They don't have it. I believe that whatever files were involved with this are probably something that only Sega actually has access to. I have read that somebody uploaded video recordings of all of the Episode 3 content on YouTube. However, I have not gone and checked for this, and I highly doubt that it's still around at this juncture. If it is, and I suppose I will look for this sometime tomorrow, Thursday afternoon into Friday morning, I might try to organize sort of a watch-along thing at some point. Perhaps on, like, a Sunday, if anybody is interested in that. But if not, well, then we will just not have to... We'll just have to not see it, I suppose, in that case. There are also the Phantasy Star portable games. Fairly recently, I believe, there was a translation patch made available, finally, for Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinite, which is an expansion pack to Phantasy Star Portable 2. Basically, it is sort of the equivalent that Ambition of the Illuminus is to the core game. Those are placed across the timeline of the games. I believe that Portable 1 is in between PSU Episode 1 and this story that we are rounding out tonight. And Portable 2 and Infinity are placed after this, and even after Episode 3. I am currently not planning to play those on the channel, unless I come back to them much later. Or I suppose I could make it like a donation incentive to fast track that. Well, fast track in pretty big air quotes, because I fully intend to purchase and play through, as I've mentioned before, the remastered version of Chrono Cross. So it would very likely be after Chrono Cross, because I don't believe, even if I got whatever my goal was, I don't think there would be enough time for me to fit this in basically from Tuesday up until when Chrono Cross Remastered comes out. Didn't somebody just say that, Tonio? Everything is an emergency. That's part of the point. Anyway, Tonio seems to be a lot more chill than he was in the original story. Perhaps because the personality of wanting to punch everybody in the face has been taken over by Laia. But that's okay. I think I'm still going to continue enjoying him. Because I think Laia is a little bit too much of that, to a point where it becomes problematic. And at least Tonio, like, has a reason for being the way he is most of the time. And I guess that a large part of it actually is just that Ethan was there to be a character that everything was centered around. And, you know, he has an actual personality. Meanwhile, we're just sort of here. We are an accessory to all of this. We don't really matter. We are here to be the heavy. Not in the sense of eat sandwich, minigun, punch things in the face. Although I guess maybe a little bit. Rather, I mean, we're here as the big guns. We do the most damage and all of that. Hmm? Oh, hey, it's Captain Kurtz. He's out in the desert. Yes, basically, we're the tank on multiple levels of also both being the king of damage. We're basically if the tank was doing solo work, so we get our tank privilege in a respect, unless we get stun locked. That actually happened to me yesterday. I was doing some offline stuff because I was like, okay, let me see if I can get some cool new gear that we can show off, and we can have something fairly interesting there. But I got absolutely annihilated in a mission by a fairly easy enemy just because there are certain enemies in this game that can just absolutely ruffle stomp you in a really stupid manner. This is a game where it's very easy to get killed because of how relentless sometimes the enemies are. Meanwhile, you have enough power at your fingertips that you can do the same to them. It's kind of a game that is predicated on everybody involved being a glass cannon. Which makes it strange that bosses aren't harder than they are, but I digress. This is a mission where we have to kill 300 monsters. How do you all feel about Zack Snyder? I have never gotten into his movies. But some of the people who are into him are really into him. It's, I suppose, you have to be a little bit. We all have to be vaccinated to get on this plane. Ah, yes. Current day social commentary, etc., etc. I actually just learned recently that it's very likely that Opeth, the metal band Opeth, a very, very popular progressive metal act for nowadays, at least as far as that kind of thing goes, you know. We're not exactly talking about Dua Lipa levels of sales here or nothing, but they're pretty popular for making that kind of music. They actually, their drummer left the band sometime late last year. The current belief is that Martin Axelrod, I believe is his name, presumably pronounced with a bit of an accent that I cannot pull, especially not when I'm trying to affect a different voice than usual. He was let go of the band, and a lot of people, the dominant theory is that he refused to get vaccinated for one reason or another before traveling to America. Although he also apparently has a lot of mental health issues in general, so it may have just been related to that. Nobody can say for sure. And there often are a lot of cases of people just assuming things like that nowadays. Granted, to be fair, I feel like I've seen an unusual amount of drummers who are relatively more conservative than a lot of the rest of their groups. I was thinking about this recently because I'm preparing something for my music channel, which I know is a thing that I do not advertise very much, but it's supposed to be something about just a couple of longer songs that I really like. And remembering that just a couple of these people have there's a lot of more right-wing people who do drums, I guess. I don't know what it is. It's just a weird statistic that happens that way. I don't really think it's anything more than that. Okay, so 300 monsters. Let me show this off really quick. I love this weapon model. It's got like a... You can see we got our big laser cannon back, and it's got this weird flower structure on the front of it. Strangely enough, even though the laser cannons are all very much a GRM thing, and you would think, oh yeah, that would have to go with the tech planet, right? But oddly enough, the top tier stuff that we can gain access to for this, all as far as I know, is manufactured rather by the company that's working out of Nudez, which is Yomei, I think. So they have a lot more of this sort of structure to them and that's where we get our A rank and even S rank laser cannons. But of course, we will not be seeing any S rank weapons in this entire playthrough, unless we happen to get them from S ranking one of these missions or something, which I suppose is a non-zero possibility. We did actually get a pretty sweet piece of equipment last time in the form of this pistol, which, again, I love the fact that it's just like, here's a realistic, I suppose, gunshot sound coming out of your laser cannon. Admittedly, I'm saying that realistic is a bit of a stretch there, because I'm pretty sure that's not what a real gun sounds like. I admit that I tend to shy away from firearms in the real world for reasons that, you know, might not be terribly surprising. But, it has a sound that is a lot more not laser cannon-y, we'll put it that way, for being a laser pistol in a franchise where laser weapons are the way to go most of the time, that they are the most common way of doing things. There are a couple of solid bullet guns that we haven't had a real chance to look at, and some non-laser swords even. They're actually all pretty strong, so I think it's operating on the Star Wars principle. I think that's a thing that's only in, like, side material for any of the Star Wars stuff, that, like, ballistic firearms, you know, using physical bullets and stuff, are actually kind of grossly OP in Star Wars, because, you know, if you try to block a bullet with a laser sword, it's gonna get melted in half, and you're gonna get hot molten metal, pardon me, in your face. So, strangely enough, you have that going on, and I guess nobody ever, you know, it doesn't become common enough to change over for other groups of people, because I guess the energy weapons are for a more sophisticated future or something. I forget how the line goes, but you understand what I'm referring to, surely. Oh, also, yes, I picked up a light element shotgun ability because the level on my pistol's ice bullet was getting too high, and I wanted something a little bit different than stacking 2 ice weapons, and I decided that upgrading the shotgun's shot was probably the better way to go in that case. Strategy! Yeah, who cares? This is honestly, we should probably have upgraded at some point to a higher difficulty version of the story quests, because these are hilariously easy. Although, the story does not change, which is a part of why we're not going to be playing through all of those on stream. You know, unless there's some big outpouring of, oh yes, we want to see you do that. You know, we want casual level grinding streams for Phantasy Star Universe. There's a distinctly non-zero possibility, I will say this, that I may actually go and make a character on Clementine, the private server. So, you know, if that's a thing that people really wanted to see me do, I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it, but it's not specifically on the docket for the time being. And this guy's being a real jerk. Wow, okay, our bow does, like, nothing compared to the laser cannon. That's a little unfortunate. Nice work, Tonio. Okay, you can see he's using just the solo claw again. I don't remember if he was using that in episode 1, but he was definitely using the dagger before, which we saw the dagger earlier. I like the look of it. Alright, so there's a pair of keys for us to pick up here. So my guess right now is that this is going to be a 3-area thing, and each area is going to be 100 monsters. Because I don't think we've had a ton of 3-zone quests in a bit, and we're getting pretty deep into proceedings here, so why not, right? If they're going to make us absolutely rip it up here with the amount of enemies that we're dealing with, why not make it an even bigger mission, I feel like. Then again, we did have that one really super late mission in PSU Chapter 1, where it was just like, hey, here's one area and the enemies are basically just going to keep constantly spawning. Also, you're going to run out of your good fire attacks pretty fast. To which I just kind of go, oh. Oh, no, it's open. Or it's gonna be in a second, anyway. But if you guys want to drop me more of those statues, so that way I can get a good chunk of cash, that'd be great, because having some nice gear towards the end would probably be pretty great. Wow, I'm just saying the same words over and over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have a bad habit of this. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Is the way we're supposed to go? Yes. There it is. $150 so far. Wow. We spent a lot of time opening that gate, didn't we? At least it feels like it. This out and let's let it charge a bit. Sorry. I dropped my controller for a second there. That's okay, I'm being defended by fairly high-level partners, so that's pretty easy. So is that series that, X-Ross Wars, I suppose it's supposed to be pronounced Cross, right? Because otherwise, yeah, I'm a little bit choking up on that pile of letters, but but yeah, I think I've said this recently. In fact, I'm quite sure that I have. But Japan really does love their heavy metal, which I think I've also said it's a little surprising that I don't run into more of it as a result. But of course, there are a lot of fairly popular. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was literally talking about this last stream that Hide from X Japan, who tragically passed on in 1999, he's kind of one of the most popular musical artists to have come out of Japan outside of, well, outside of the ones that are more popular. Yeah, okay, I'm starting to sound like a fucking idiot here. Shut it down, shut it down. Anyway, if saying that, the Digifuse and X-Ross War thing, I suppose that is very understandable, because that's something that would not necessarily cross over very well into a, into an English language setting, especially not for something aimed at a younger set. Although the whole thing does kind of remind me a little bit of from Homestar Runner. I think it was called Awesome Cross, which was one of the little mini games, but it was spelt with an X instead of an S, so it's AWEXOME. Of course, obviously, that particular bit of Homestar Runner, that was supposed to be parodying, the cool letters and the use of the X for coolness when it doesn't make any sense type of phenomenon from the late 90s, which would make sense for a Digimon thing, but probably not for one that's any more modern than the Adventure series. But again, that said, it's something that probably, was a little bit that the localization team was a little bit like, what do we do with this, actually? Although Heavy Metal Greymon would be a pretty great concept. You are absolutely correct there. I'm thinking, like, you get sort of a... Maybe you could have, like, a drummer concept to it, sort of like the gorilla Pokemon, the Rillaboom. I'm probably going to catch a little bit of shit for being like, oh, hey, let me bring up a Pokemon while I'm talking about Digimon. Or at least I would have if this was 1999, but... that sort of concept of it just being like a heavy metal drummer, it could have a blast beatdown attack or something. Or either that, or I'm also mentally sort of thinking like flamethrowing guitar, like in Mad Max Fury Road. I still haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road, by the way. Somebody was busting my chops about that earlier this week, and they are absolutely correct. I need to see Mad Max Fury Road at some point. I am just not very good about watching movies. And yet, I've seen things like Phantom of the Paradise, which is kind of obscure. God, when the lockdown started, I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna set aside a month or something, at the very least, where I watch a movie every day. And I watched Wishmaster and I fucking stopped. Because I'm not good at keeping to a schedule. Oh, hey, look, it's a bunch of stuff that we can't use. And we probably really can't use that unit. Unless we upgrade our shields, which... defense, who gives a shit about that? That might stop me from getting killed all the time if I were to upgrade my armor, but meh. Yeah, the... Robagumon, Kessler Greymon are... Full Metal... Are those all... ones that already exist in terms of like machine Digimon? I remember that I really liked a lot of the ones that were in existence. Oh, okay, they're things you're designing on your own. All right. I remember there was a lot of stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s era that I remember liking. The gear rookie Digimon, I thought that thing was really cute. There was... I don't remember what all of the other ones were. There was a pretty chunky looking robot that I think was champion level. Rust colored, had a machine gun arm. I don't remember that thing's name. The gear Digimon, I think that was Hagurumon. Or that might have been its Japanese name only, yeah. Yeah, Tankmon was one. I remember Tankmon being a thing. I could have sworn there was something that looked a lot like, basically kind of looked like the Barrel Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! Am I thinking of, like, a metal version of Megadramon or something? Was that Gundramon? Okay. Yeah, I remember that thing being real cool. Seed virus. Oh, boy. Uh-oh, big yikes. That's a little spoopy. We don't know that for sure. We did see, however, what happens when a human is infected with a seed virus earlier. Because we fought those things that are kind of implied to have been infected Hyuga. But I'm pretty sure they're not. It's just implied. Yeah, so we heard about this part before. Are we just now telling Kurtz this? I'm sorry, now I'm actually focusing on the plot, which earlier I was like, meh, but this is definitely something that's, like, in a kind of fucked up way, but we saw that firsthand. Unfortunately, Hyuga's having a bit of an issue. Wouldn't put on stream. Fair enough. Well, we'll just say that... Well, we'll just say something, I guess. Kurtz? Kurtz, what are you doing? You better not be withholding... At the very least, dude, get some group of people together that you can use whatever amount of the vaccine you have on them. I want to know what value this town has. And for that matter, we gotta say it right now. What's a town without people? You know? This isn't exactly a military installation. Wow, Laia, you just gave up on your morals real fast, didn't you? Holy shit, she really is a cop! I think we do. We can do better. Maybe we can't do better. Alright, time to dump all of these junk weapons real quick. For the tiny pissant amount of money that they're worth. And I'm not going to be able to afford anything cooler than this way. Can we use that? It is an extra slot item. And it's an HP restore. Which is, frankly, an absurd thing to have. Well, it probably feels like vibrations, right? For, you know, to put it simply, that it rattles them a little bit. And yeah, we can have our HP restoring unit here. And we can go save. And we can move on to Chapter 2 of everybody involved in the plot making bad decisions. Probably especially us in a moment. Well, yeah, it's the transfer of kinetic energy type of thing. It's just like it shakes the body and everything. You get it. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Show me something going on here. Yeah, I know how you feel, Buster. Really, you don't have to do this then. Here, what? All right, what's going on, Kurtz? Go to a coal mine, huh? That's a little abrupt. Oh, we found out that Kurtz turned into a good guy pretty quickly. Kurtz is the Waka of this series, so it's fine. I'm genuinely curious if somebody's ever going to find me, because I've really ramped up lately the references to this game basically knocking off a lot of points from Final Fantasy X, which is a game that I really love, and it's not intended as an insult to either game. But I wonder if somebody's gonna, like, hear me doing that and get really pissed about it. Because, especially when you consider that this game has a private server that a lot of people came together and did a lot of work in order to get it up and running. Because I gather that this was not a simple process. And it's not really something that one can do quite as easily as running a private instance of Phantasy Star Online, which is still not the simplest thing in the world, but is apparently fairly doable. I would expect that this game attracts a fairly strong, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't want to say fanatical, because, of course, that has negative implications. It attracts a fan base of people who are very passionate about it. We'll say that. So, if somebody's going to come in here and, you know, I'm wondering if somebody's going to hear me making these remarks and get really upset about it. Because, yes, this game really does have a lot of things that are absolutely very similar to stuff from Final Fantasy X. And again, I don't mean that in an insulting manner, because FF10 is pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's my favorite, but it's definitely in my top 3. Which, my top 3 Final Fantasies are probably the hipster special in some sense of being 5, 10, and 9. Because 5... people like 5, but they don't love it that much, I feel like. So it definitely seems like the one, like, I feel that there are certain layers of hipsterhood that you can have about Final Fantasy. And also, I should probably note, I don't count the online ones, and I don't count the spin-offs, because that just makes things more complicated than it's worth. But, like, of course, 7 is the one that really did bring the series to a new audience. So I suspect that a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's, that there are a lot of people who get there's definitely a lot of people who get very assholey about it, and they get really obnoxious. Oh boy, I'm walking in circles here word-wise, that people get very obnoxious about people who like 7. There's a subset of the overall Final Fantasy fan base who's like 7 is trash and 6 is where it's at. And that's sort of hipsterness layer 1. And then I feel like the next layer down somewhere of hipsterness is Final Fantasy V. And if it's not if it's not layer 2 of being a Final Fantasy hipster, it's a couple of layers down. It's not a long journey, but it's the sort of thing that people will just be like, well, there are pointedly some people who like it because it's not one that a lot of people bring up constantly. That it's sort of the, well, I don't want to say obscure because I don't think that's true. And of course, 5 did not come out in the English-speaking parts of the world until the release of one of the PS1 compilations, which also included a version of 6 that I believe is somehow even glitchier than the one on that is even glitchier than the one on SNES, somehow. In fact, the PS1 version may be the glitchiest version of FF6. If it's not that, it's the GBA one. But yeah. So I suspect that there's a lot of people who look at FF5 as being that there's a lot of people who like it and are extremely pretentious about it. And the same thing kind of goes for FF9. FF9 is the game that at the time was the most oriented around fan service to stuff from the previous part of the series. Excuse me 1 second here. Let me just say you're glad you didn't hear that. That's all I'm going to say about the matter. And a lot of people, I think, are very obnoxious about their fandom for FF9. It's also one that is considered extremely cool to like. You know, the sort of thing that we would probably term not for dabblers if we were the sort of person who, if we were the sort of people who talked in that sort of language. Meanwhile, 10, I feel like, is probably the one that I like that sits in the most mainstream area, but it's also, I feel like 10 never really shook off a lot of the reputation for being cringe that it had in the early 2000s as well. Which I distinctly remember a lot of people who looked at 10 and were kind of like really displeased with it. For a lot of the same reasons, first of all, as they felt that way about FF8, which, of course, people say that the gameplay of 8 is bad and whatever, and, they may very well not like it, and all power to them for that, but there's absolutely a very large portion of people who think that 10, who think that 8, and they certainly, it's probably reduced a lot now, but there's a lot of people who had a distinct dislike for the romance plot of 8. And back in the 90s, I definitely recall a lot of people getting the way that teenage boys do about that kind of thing. We'll put it that way. They stop themselves shy of actually being like, oh, he's so fruity or anything like that. But you know they were thinking it, right? Because, as we all know, there's nothing gayer than being straight. There's a lot of things that teenage boys believe that are really fucking stupid, is the big takeaway here. So, aside from the meme of Titus's laugh, which I'll come back to in a moment, I think that is a thing that a lot of people in the early 2000s during the preview cycle for FF10 were like, this makes the game bad, which is not really true, although I will say that I am not a big fan of how it was written. But there are, there are some issues with little bits of the character writing all over in 10, but I do unironically think that Yuna was really, really good. But yes, ever since then, the big thing about 10 has been that Titus laugh. That's become the thing that people meme on a lot. But at the very least, I feel like there's a little bit of difference between that and the way that people were just absolute haters in the earliest generations of things. Oh, who's this dude? Is this... I was going to say, is this the guy who was hanging out with Dogboy, but they shaved his butt-shaped afro? No, this just looks like someone completely different. Oh, incoming, Can't y'all just give him a shot? Like... Like, how hard would it be, really? This is the future! Kind of. I'm no longer convinced that this is really the future. That the technology level in this entire game is just sort of, like, random. Yeah, we just lie to shake them off of our back. Is this going to be the one time where they decide to take up the idea about not blindly following orders? And they're going to try to maul us? No, they're doing the right thing. Where'd he go? That's what I'm wondering, Chief. Well, shit. We gotta go find this kid. That doesn't make me feel good. So anyway, yeah, I think that 10 is one... I can't imagine people really hate 10 anymore, even with memeing on the Titus laugh, because they keep re-releasing it every fucking week. They wouldn't do that if people hated it, right? Actually, it is Square Enix. Maybe they would. They do a lot of really weird things. Did any of you hear about the absolute clusterfuck that was the release of Chocobo GP? Let me tell you, I don't feel envious for Square Enix right now. That's for sure. Well, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why. I think also that the other part of that is that it's much easier to do a fairly simple HD upscale, if you will, of something that is closer to HD. Like, there would have to be a lot of work that was put into cleaning up stuff for FF7 relative to doing so for FF10. And for what it's worth, the last time I played the PS3 version of FF10, I thought a couple of things did look a little bit off, like proportions were made a little bit more horizontal, you know, more to fit in with the 16:9 aspect ratio. And it does kind of look like butt at times as a result. Anyway, it's fun that we don't care about poison. Yeah, 7 absolutely would have needed, like, a whole new set of graphics to be done with 8, to be good for HD. 8, there was even more work that had to go into that, because rather infamously, the files for FF8 were lost in whole or in part, I believe in whole, so at the very least, they had to get somebody to... Well, they probably just got somebody to go on eBay, buy a copy, and rip the contents of the CD and, you know, redo it from there. Not for nothing, but it would be a time-saving measure, you know? So it would hopefully be a thing that's understandable. Alright, so are we gonna... Yes, okay, so we're in a semi-closed loop here, right? Alright, so this is gonna mess with some things, surely. Because my guess is that in order to get into the big door up there... No, is it open already? I saw the 3 panels and I was like, surely they're gonna make us hit 3 switches first, right? I mean, yeah, it basically did. I was gonna say, I think that it was a little more economical with textures, but I'm also sitting here like, textures? In that era? Are you kidding me? But there were textures. I'm being unfair. But it used its graphics and everything a little better. And of course, it didn't have the overworld art style that FF7 did. That is a choice. Like, we can say that it's to sort of fit in with a super deformed style for that in 7, but I don't really think that's perfectly accurate. It doesn't quite look the part. Of course, a large part of that may also come down to the fact that even then, a lot of things are just so lumpy due to the low poly count that it is an issue. It loaded the entire game at once. Well, how about that? I did not know that was a thing. Alright, so we go around the loop again? Huh. Okay then. I guess we don't go around the loop again. But yeah, saying that, I think the N64 actually had a fairly decent chunk of memory, too. A thing that I've heard before, I don't remember if it was you who said it, it might have been someone else, is that when it comes to multi-disc games on the PS2, or PS2, fuck my life, when it comes to multi-disc games on the PS1, rather, that the entire game, in terms of gameplay and mechanics and stuff like that, is on every disc. It's cutscenes that are different between the discs. Oh yeah, well, I completely expected that to be the case. It might have been... It was probably someone else. It might have been someone a couple years ago on Plastic Allen's streams, because I was watching a couple of his streams from way back when. He might be streaming again soon, which makes me happy, because I really loved that guy a lot, and, you know, hearing him be able to do things again makes me happy and all that. Anyway, boy. I'm so glad, by the way, that this mission is timed. If this is going to be a thing where we have to hash out a fucking maze. But yeah, that's a thing that I've heard, and I don't know how true it is. But if it is, that would make a lot of sense as to why you had a lot of cases like that, like why everything in FF7 was so low poly count. Because with the level of compression technology and stuff back then, you know, if they had FF8 style graphics and everything for 7, I think that the game would have been 4, maybe even more discs. It's genuinely a large game. This damn kid, oh boy. Is this gonna be the way to go? Probably not, but it looked like it. Yeah, that is absolutely a case that they would probably have to do stuff like that for glitch prevention and just general continuity to choose a broad term for it. We're gonna go backwards here and see if that can do it. Answer is probably not. This is a pretty unique idea to have something like this, but damn, it is kind of irritating to keep going back and forth, especially with the ceiling traps that keep dropping on you. It's a little unnecessary. But yeah, I seem to recall, for example, that there are some unused enemies in Quest 64. Quest 64 also has some shared animations between a couple of enemies that use reasonably similar but not identical models and stuff that's on different scales. Oh, were they all used? Oh, never mind then. Whoops. Maybe I'm misremembering because of reasons. Because I'm forgetful. Anyway, yeah, there's cases of the animations being reused, and I assume that that's a thing where it's just like, it just calls upon that stuff and assigns a different model to it, and bones and stuff, and you know, that they do a space-saving version of it, but I'm not 100% knowledgeable, as you can tell, about the inner workings of that game, or really quite a few of them in general. Can we toggle the switch by doing this? No, it's a one-way door. Teleporter. This is open door. This just take us to a backward facing area. Ah, yeah. This... Okay, we can't go that way anymore. Oh, there's a little gremlin. That was pretty easy. I did a bunch of stuff that I didn't need to, which has probably significantly reduced our score. Yeah, 510. We did not get a real rank at all, pretty much. Oh, technically we got a B rank, I guess, but meh. That was a mess. Oh, the kid's probably about to turn right in front of us, and we're gonna have to put him down. Yep. Yep, I know exactly where this is going. Special effects are questionable, but the idea, we get it. Uh-oh. I'm sorry, there's nothing else we can do. Oh. Yikes. That's alarming. Did anyone else hear that, or is it just her? Alright. This looks to be a pretty simple fight, I think. It's an enemy type we've seen before, just with souped up stats and a pretty high level, all told. Finally, we're back to, you know, stuff that's killing us through not attrition. However, it's a boss fight, so it's super easy with a party. Like, every single boss fight in this game is just the three of you getting together, congregating on this one target, and absolutely curb stomping the shit out of it. Except in PSU Episode 1, where we had the bosses that we actually had to snipe. Way simple like Gaston is. Just a second, I'm adjusting my headphones because I got a lot of hair. I really started to notice it recently. It's like past shoulder length now. It's so weird. I want to, like, dye it all a color permanently. I probably should consider looking normal, I guess, when I go into the real world again after the pandemic ends, but, I'm not down with that anymore. Normal, fuck that. Ain't nobody got time for that shit. Everybody else will just have to deal. I guess, yeah. Thanks, Tonio. You're as emotionally stunted as usual. Sis have... You don't really know what the deal is with Laya, so that's... Could be a family member, I suppose. Oh, he's probably having a bit of a problem right now. We're probably gonna have to kill him in the next mission because he's probably gone full seed mode and is gonna go on a rampage. Uh-oh. Oh, hey, technical terms that we don't understand. DEFCON 4, because that's not actually that pressing. Machine's freaking out, though. Are you sure we should be sending the killer android in there, though? You know, it could be some sort of brain scrambling thing. Like, I'm not exactly 2B level or anything, but we are looking at a pretty powerful piece of machine here. Not on purpose, right? I remember that story arc when Andromon was freaking out. Large numbers of unvaccinated citizens have been sacrificed, just like in real life, etc. We got Tonio's partner card. Neat. Although, again, I was going to say, we're just skipping straight to the next mission, but apparently not. Apparently we have enough time to go stock up on some more interesting gear. What's our set of stuff look like here? I don't think there's a better bow we can get right now, unless we were able to afford the S-rank bow, which we're not. We pointedly cannot do that at this point, but we can still go shopping. We can dump our junk items. We can potentially pick up another A-rank weapon, or even some armor, if we were the sort of person to plan ahead, but that may even be too expensive. We'll have a look, though. We don't need that. That's not as good as our current one. Yeah, these are not strong boards, so we can throw those out. Let's have a look at the armor shop here and see what prices are looking like. Okay, so I was gonna say we can't even equip much in the way of, but we can grab one of these. Head and arm, though, that's not what we'd want. We would want arm and body, which I think we'd be able to get from the shop in Param, possibly. But of course, we would grab that, and we would probably not have enough money to be able to pick up the other units to have good stats. So you can see why I end up just letting the armor fall by the wayside here, because it's fucking expensive. Not dying costs a lot of damn money, apparently. So we're going to go and check in here. I guess we'll look at armor, I guess. I'll do that first, because we're probably not going to like what we see. Yeah, we can't equip our defense points are too low for the Tenoro 3-slot armor, but you can see that this is what we would want in terms of anything like this, would be this particular slot setup. If we couldn't have 4 slots, the head slot doesn't make a lick of difference. Where you have no magic and we're not going to get anything for the last mission. We're going in with just our ability to shoot things to death. Can we equip a high-level, like, sword yet? Oh, that's lightning element. Damn it! Otherwise, I'd love to be like, yeah, I'll check out a whip, and we can have a little bit of that action, but it's the same element as one of our already existing weapons. So, you know, eat my butt game, I guess. In here, yes, this is where we have melee weapon stuff. So, yeah, by the way, our weapon skill inventory here is much enhanced, so we could actually pick up Dust Dagus again, but it's so late in the game that I don't want to actually really bother with that one too much. It was so good in PSU Episode 1, but now it's just going to hold us back because we have better options of just shoot things up close. Oh. I'm playing this game really stupidly, aren't I? It's really occurred to me that, like, if this was a higher difficulty, I would probably be getting my ass handed to me by certain of these enemies. Walker, we have enough money for that, and we can actually equip it. Oh. We're really close to being able to equip that. And that would give us a pretty solid melee option. We're 2 attack points off. Fucking rip us. Disappointing. I needed that boost today. I could check if using a unit would change that, though. It might well do. You'll also notice, by the way, that there's a distinct lack of a lot of elements in our basic weapon types here. I haven't been able to show off the cards. There's a lot of stuff I haven't been able to show off. I admit that I'm kind of disappointed in that. Maybe I should have another, you know, just a goof-off stream with this. That way we can show more shit. Units. Hey, you. You got a decent level of, attack power here. Yeah, I guess this mega power unit is not superb or anything, but we'll pick it up and we'll equip it. Get a little more attack power. Does that raise our, does that effectively raise our base stats, is the question. No, it doesn't. Damn! You see, because it used to in Phantasy Star Online, and it does again in PSO2 when you have your armor units, they contribute to your base stats and allow you to equip better gear. I thought that we'd be able to get away with that in this game. Unfortunately, they decided not to let it work that way. So, do I want Bullet Master? Yeah, I think Bullet Master is going to be our best bet for having something like this. I'm going to see if I can pick up an Earth Element attack for this thing, but I'm probably going to come up short because I'm assuming it's going to be like, yeah, oh no, Twin Grav is 3k. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's just that I immediately assumed that it would factor in your armor unit stat boosts because, again, I'm used to that being a recurring thing in the franchise. Except that in this case, it's not like that. So... Well, we've got probably as nice of a set of things as we're going to get for the end game. Let's go into Chapter 10. Let's get a bit of that action going on. Also, yes, I do realize that I dropped the voice a while back, that I was no longer speaking in my lower, more held back voice a little bit. Again, I worry that I sound a little too gravelly and everything. There's a lot of shit, basically, that goes into gender. I'm sure we all have an understanding of that, but, you know, a lot of people don't call me... Ow. A lot of people don't often respect when I say that I'm they, them, even in places where I have it put up. Like, it shows up in all my videos now at the very beginning, and I feel like a lot of people continue to miss out on that because I sound a certain way, and I look a certain way, obviously. I haven't really done anything to try and change that, although I absolutely should. I should at least shave. Although I always feel like it really just brings out how pudgy my face looks when I trim all my facial hair down. So, you know, I always kind of feel a little bit concerned about that, you know, that end of presentation and everything. I think about it over much, and there was definitely a period where a lot of people on Twitter were talking very extensively about voice training, and it was a bit of a point of conversation that was coming up a lot. And this, I mean, I always feel like I don't have that much concern about what my voice sounds like, and yet here I am doing this. And there's also, you know, I don't think I can do like a good high-pitched voice. I mean, I suppose I could talk in a really annoying falsetto all the time, but I don't think anybody would like that, and especially because I'm immediately reverting to singing when I'm doing that because it feels like the right way to do it. But I also used to sing like that when I, you know, when I would sing in the car. I'm not like that kind of singing, you know. I'm not professional in any real regard. I'm tone deaf too, I'm pretty sure. Or at the very least, I'm not musically gifted like that. Oh shit, we're fighting enemies inside the city limits. This is interesting. Also, I don't remember if we did like anything with double handguns in the original run. I think we may have showed them off briefly, but of course they got retired pretty quickly because I seem to recall that we had no options for them as a hunter. And once I switched to a ranger, I just had better options for everything. So, you know, here's vindication, I suppose, that for anybody out there who is a big fan of this style of thing, this is what we get going on here. So anyway, yeah, voice. I'd like to, not be concerned about it, and yet it is a thing that I keep not being able to not think about. Especially because the other thing, if I'm thinking about VTube stuff, I think that there would definitely be some amount of people who would not be nice about that, especially if I go for a more, feminine-looking avatar. With there already being a lot of trans folk who do VTube stuff, I always kind of feel a little bit concerned that it's also the sort of fan base who would be like, are you, not like cultural imperialism type of thing. That's a little overboard, but, that definitely there might be some people who look at that in a way that is not nice. I think way too much about things that don't matter very much, and it's a problem. I overthink everything, and I probably need to just, stop doing that. I think I need to, I don't know other than saying that. Yeah, see, once again, I don't think sending out a team with a killbot on it is necessarily the best idea, folks. Large number of seed forms are attacking the Guardian Oh, Jesus, man. There's so much shit going on. Tonio, have you been in the subways lately? Because that's, all I do offline is I go into the bonus missions in the subways. And it's just all seed form enemies that we have to kill. Okay, can I at least, replenish my ammunition, please? Or is this going to be treated like a dungeon instance sort of thing? Yeah? Oh, are they going to kill us? I see repeated NPC models. Asking Konami to playtest Yu-Gi-Oh! Properly. Jesus. Oh boy. Just oh boy. I know that's a problem with a lot of card games. Magic had, over the last few years, before I quit playing Magic after they had a really tepid response to a lot of things that were going around about Wizards being a very hostile work environment for people of color and women. They had a kind of tepid response about the whole thing, and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to ban a couple of cards from these Eternal formats that nobody would ever in their right mind play, including a couple of cards that had new art that already were things that people weren't going to complain about, that they could have just reprinted and been like, hey, please don't bring these specific printings. We're making a special injunction here. And then, within a week after that, they kicked a woman off of their creator program because she had an OnlyFans account. It wasn't related to Magic or anything like that. They were just like, oh, you're a pornographer. Get out of here. And, obviously, I say that sort of imitating their tone because not to sound smug or anything, but I wouldn't refer to a person with an OnlyFans account as being, quote, a pornographer. That it didn't sit well with me. We'll put it that way, and I stopped playing the game. And of course, Unfortunately, my local area play group had at least one Nazi in it that nobody ever seemed to do anything about. The guy also had a playmat that featured art that was made by a guy who was regularly commissioned to do art for the company of two of the characters making out. And also it had an actual Magic the Gathering logo on it, even though these playmats aren't supposed to have that. You know, it signified that it was a bootleg. And I thought that there was something a little bit nasty about that in a specific way. Because, you know, I don't want to be the person who turns into one of those people about, like, oh, it's fetishization or whatever. But, you know, it's a straight dude with this carrying around. I'm getting off track from the plot. Of the plot of this game, rather. But, yeah, my play group was a group of people that didn't really sit well with me, and of course, we were in a pandemic. So I wasn't gonna fucking go there anyway. Because, I don't know, masking up for 3 hours to get needled by some fuckhead who's like, oh, why don't you have all these cards in English? Person who, you know, doesn't have a ton of money. Which, you know, that's real great. I always need to be judged by people, right? And it was just not a great time in general. So I admit that my feelings were, like, in no great loss about that kind of thing. But anyway, back to the point about Magic is that they had a couple of years at that point where they were having a rash of bans in the standard format, in the thing that rotated. Because they kept making things that were very quickly proven to be incredibly busted in the format, that were, like, disproportionately strong. So there's absolutely, like, just this horrible thing, I feel like, that trading card games just don't have proper playtesting in general. And I sincerely wonder, like, what they have in terms of any sort of playtesting program for any of that stuff. If it's like the best they can get is almost just random players who maybe they're like a couple of judge levels or something that they just pick up and they don't pay them very much and are just like, hey, tell us if the game breaks easily. And then they ignore the response because design just thinks they know better, and knew better in the past and probably continue to know better than these random scrubs, even if they do know how the rules work. Oh, Laya's having a very different personality here. And again, Tonio is just so chill about it. He's not even losing his shit about the fact that she's like, we should go back to the colony. And that's kind of surprising. But of course, we all know, as we said before, that Laya is a total cop. So of course she wants to go back to the place closer to the center of the government agency. Anyway. Here we are again in the middle of the world map with stuff going on. Yep, there's that thing. Let's get over here. Up to 5th floor. Again, no cube for us because this isn't really the world map, but I think we'll survive. Unfortunately, I suspect that this door lock is entirely electronic, and nobody has ever heard of chains and padlocks or anything. So, you know, this could go badly at any time depending on signals and anything, you know. Ain't nobody in this universe ever heard of Abus, I'll tell you that. Leia, you should probably get back. The door's gonna burst open and you're gonna die. I know how these things work. Headed down. Oh, that's not good either. But in a different way. Hit the deck. You gotta be careful about that. Oh shit, it's Leo. Oh, we haven't seen him in a hot minute. As in, we haven't seen him all day. And that's more than enough for me. He's here to help out. We have old buddy in our team here. Oh. Told ya. I mean, I guess it makes some degree of sense that Nav would be able to get in here. Even though I wish he wouldn't. But also, pure electronic locks in a world where this level of hacking signal seems to be a thing might not be such a good idea. You know, this level of computer centralization is not a smart choice. Okay, he is just no-selling that. Are we just gonna have to, like, time this fight out or get beaten by him? I don't like that, because that's not gonna go over very well for either of us. I mean, we got like 15 levels on this dude. I should be able to nuke him pretty easily. But at this rate, I'm really just considering, hey, we should just... You don't say! He's using a Game Shark! Like, how do we deal with this? Sincerely, do we just... Do we have to die to him? If not, I don't want to replay that whole section. Just cutscene it already, damn it. I mean, that's my theory. He's not taking any damage from our attacks. Nothing works on him. I just saw visuals that made me think he got crit. I'm trying to leave the unlosable fight. Like, come on, we have a lot on this dude. Ethan, sure, I understand that. He was level 70-something. 60-something, actually. But, like, come on. We should be able to turn this dude into paste. The level ramp up is so slow that, like, I don't even feel like I've done that much off-screen grinding. At the very lowest, I'd be level, like, 25 or something up against this. Okay, cool, the battery ran out. Put him in the broom closet! I mean, he's a robot. He's probably a little hard to move, but still. No, he freaked out pretty seriously. Alright, well, time to run through the station. I don't remember if you told me about that one or not, but very distinctly possible. Alright, so we're gonna have to get to the elevator, aren't we? I like the just tipped over palm tree. There's something very entertaining about that. Oh, these things are standing up to a shocking amount of damage for what this game has thrown at us so far. This ought to help us out a little bit here. It'll fix their hash, surely. And of course, they're still dropping the garbage weapons that are worth less than 200 bucks. Nice. Very nice. Alright, so that door is blocked. Param Space Station is blocked, obviously. Motube Space Station is blocked. Nudez Station is blocked. We can't go through this barrier to get over to the elevator. The elevator is completely blocked in, it looks like. Do we have to, like, just deal with these sparks or something? They summon enemies or whatnot? No, that's just a barrier. My next thought is tree is breakable? Apparently not the tree. What if we try going up here? Nope, they're not going to let me go up there and search for an elevator that doesn't exist. Oh, is the elevator over... Is there an elevator over there? Yes, of course there is. Right, because there's two things to the first floor. Oh, good, we can't just go that way. So, we just go down to the second floor, and... way is blocked. Other ways blocked. Maybe we can go to the other side elevator. No, apparently not. Are we gonna have to just kill the enemies first? Probably. Okay, yeah. Fighting those with that thing is not such a good idea. Because while the full burst does pretty good damage, it leaves us very vulnerable to this thing's spells. Oh, I wish you wouldn't do it like this, game. Are you... Is this like a case of infinite of a single enemy spawn? No, they appear to be spawning in different locations, but this is really making me feel like this enemy just spawns over and over. Oh, there's another one over there. Okay, so let's try going over there then. But yeah, you can see why getting up close there is a bit of a problem. That ice wall spell is pretty nasty. It also has like some sort of dark element area of effect spell that is also really gross. This is not filling me with confidence, game. I don't like this. Alright, so the elevator again doesn't work to go down to the first floor. Boy, howdy, am I glad that this is a not timed mission. We can go down to the second floor from here. Maybe we can find something a little bit more usable here. And not in this area. But there is another elevator across the way. We may have to go up to the fourth floor or something. But wait, there's only the two elevators on the fourth floor, aren't there? That can't be that useful. Alright, so this is a different area from where we were earlier. And we've got a group of enemies that looks a little bit more definitely spawned, I guess, for lack of a better term. Although these do seem to just be spawning in mass. So that may not have been the case. That may just be, Well, we are here. This is an area where we're... Yes, blocked by dark energy. We can't go into any of the shops. Is there only the one enemy still? Oh, here we go. This is actually a different group of enemies, so... This is making me think that this is actual progress now. Oh god. I was gonna say, I think Laia got killed by that, so I'd like to not get insta-killed by that move. It could be avoided. This is a case where I actually do want to stay up close to it, though, to distract, hopefully, the Caragene here from using Magid, because that, again, that has an insta-kill chance that I keep forgetting about until it comes up again and I mention it and it doesn't actually fuck us. I actually realized a while back that somebody clipped it. They didn't post it in chat, which, you know, that's a real scrub move. You guys should let me know being bad at video games, but I saw that in the thing, so I was like, has anybody clipped anything for my channel, like, in the last couple of years or anything? And yeah, that was sitting there, and it's like, oh. Wow, I got insta-killed by that. I didn't notice it at the time until I realized, oh shit, that probably is what it does. Well, I think we know what's going to happen to Hyuga, unfortunately, because... Yeah. Well, we saw the big humanoid seed form on the fourth floor. And we have reason to believe that it's connected to Hyuga and his seed infestation. Yeah, that would probably be a good idea. Because I have a feeling that this place, if everybody is to the shelter that they can get, that they're basically going to eject the evacuees and blow this place up. They pretty much implied before that this space station is a little bit on the expendable side. Hey, who cares about that guy? Let the vice president take over. Oh, wait. Well, I mean, casts are affected by status effects in this game, so it's a very distinct possibility. Oh, just like in real life. Oh. I feel like I should stop making those jokes, and yet I can't help it anymore. This is how I manage the stress of knowing that we're in the Infinity Plague. GRM machine manufacturing plant, huh? Uh-oh. I don't like where this is going. Oh, shit, that's... I mean, it's a distinct possibility. But otherwise, I'm just left thinking that this is just an alarm The alert is not working very well. Well, what about outside of the system? Not to mention, we know full well that people have been lying about shit lately. And considering they recently set off the aphoton bomb, it could have drawn them in from a fair distance away, resulting in this. There is a lot going on here, needless to say, and I feel a lot of it is being glossed over. Alright, we can cover that. As Maya and Leo stretch her off Hyuga, here comes the Alliance military. Well, they might also be in psycho mode because, again, casts can get viruses, as we've seen in this, so... It looks like we gotta kill Waka. He's got some pretty cool looking double swords, all considered. I like him a little more than what we usually see out of this series. Oh god. The damage is intense. I took a pretty big set of hits there. So I'm actually using a healing item even with my HP restorative unit. Oh, neat. He dropped a rare unit. Cool. Easy S rank. PP generates. We gained the Tornado Break ability from Ethan. It kind of makes sense that he would have, like, one of the basic skills that you can get for free in there. Oh, damn it, I was scrolling through my menu. Come on. Give me a sec, guys. I understand, but also, come on. Even Kurtz was affected. Even Speedwagon is afraid. And we knew there were sounds, but... Well, I mean, we do remember that the Illuminus have been jerking around with the Alliance military, I believe, so... I could see if they were, you know, forced into action that way or something. Underground control room. Uh-oh. Aw. Well, crud. Well, I suppose it's easier than throwing Kurtz into a dumpster. I mean, with 3 of us, he is made of metal. He probably is not exactly lightweight. Oh. Lumia, what's going on with you, kid? Oh. Is someone trolling you on your cell phone somehow? That's why he never lists his weight. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, shit. That explains kind of a lot. That Dalgan is Laya's father? That's... Well, I feel that was a little bit foreshadowed, and it does kind of explain why she's just immediately cowed by any time. It's like, well, you wouldn't want to let the president down. It's because she wouldn't want to let his dad... It's because she wouldn't want to let her dad down. So... And again, it draws parallels between Laya and Ethan because Ethan is being manipulated by the Illuminus because they have Orson, supposedly. And Laya is able to easily be manipulated into doing shit for the Guardians because her dad is the president. Again, no, actually, I think that's well done. I think that is reasonably well foreshadowed. It certainly is a lot better than what they did with Ethan and Orson, which, you know, we spent the entirety of the last game being straight up told, hey, Orson's dead. And that's the reason why Ethan held the Guardians in contempt for so long, is because he perceived them as letting his father die. So, Yeah, anyway. I'll have more thoughts later. For now, does this thing murder our stats in some way? No, it just increases PP restoration levels. I'm going to have to hang on to this, even though we're probably not going to do anything with this save file ever again. And I think the same with the aura field, even though... I think all this does, other than give us 6 endurance... I'm going to sell this. This just gives us particle effects. So even though there's not a ton of need for cash, we're going to take this stuff and we're going to... You know, basically... I'm going to save that stuff in case I decide at some point, hey, I want to do the harder difficulty versions of the story missions. I probably will not. But I might change my mind. There is a non-zero possibility of it. Because I can never make up my mind about anything. So, Alright, let's get some more cutscenes. Come on. Alright, and there's the President and Nav, who look like they're just having a friendly conversation until the President suddenly has some sort of indigestion or something. Even though, of course, it's supposed to be explained that he's getting the shit punched out of him by an old man android, so he's probably getting hit with the strongest possible thing at that size that you could get hit by in any anime ever. This is why having, like, more bespoke cutscenes, as opposed to things that are just operated on this particular level of in-engine, is a good idea. And again, why having, like, character creator based characters is something that it would take a couple of years up until, like, Saints Row the Third type of era for that to really even approach a good idea. Oh, he stands up for a second and then kneels back down. President, are you alright? What's the deal? And now he's back on his feet. Central control room. Separate the residential block from the rest of the colony. Okay, so are we doing the thing that we did last time where we just decided to eject the residential block? Or eject the colony, possibly, and just decide some parts are expendable here? Or I suppose it's just going into dormancy. Terrorist attacks damage the factor. Oh boy. Oh shit! That's pretty important for us to know. Nobody else could explain this to us, huh? And nobody else could tell that we were blown massively off course? Okay, then. Alright, so I like this more than I thought I would. This story is actually pretty okay. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, though, because this could go pretty badly. Oh, wow. Every single other one is offline. Huh. Oh, never mind just that. I think a colony drop on a planet, which we are trying to avoid having happen. Do y'all know what happened to the dinosaurs? What killed the dinosaurs? A space colony falling on the Earth. Oh, wait. Fuck. Oh my god. This is strange. I'm used to plots that involve colony drops actually, like, happening. And here we're trying to stop them. Is this where he says, surprise, you're adopted? No, oddly enough. Even though... Oh, wait, that's a spoiler. But we'll talk about spoilers later. Oh, okay. That's convenient. Luke, I am not your father. Yeah. And that's when Darth Vader removes both of his hands. Right? Alright, well, it's time to... It's time to split this mass so that way we can... have it not be pulled in so hard. Yeah, now the enemies are up to a real level, so there's something there, actually. Emperor Palpatine. Ow. I was like an inch too far forward. Oops. Leia, you should probably not do that to yourself. You just had an emotional moment with your father. It's fine. Everything's fine. Stop pretending it makes you cringe. Now, me having a Shadow the Hedgehog crossover... Actually, saying that, I've never played Shadow the Hedgehog. I just know the memes. Hey, Retro, how is it going? It's... must be fairly early in your neck of the woods. Early AMs and all that. Ah! Oh. Yeah, those already. Had to replace your old CPU. Oh, that's unfortunate. I just hope that the rest of it wasn't too much of a hassle because... You know, well, that the replacement in general wasn't too much of a hassle. So, I probably explained this on stream back when I actually did the upgrade much earlier in the pandemic. I upgraded my CPU. I was originally using an i7 4770K, I believe it was. And so that's a pretty outdated Intel CPU. That was the era... I distinctly remember that it was the last CPU that they released before the Devil's Canyon series, or pretty damn close to. And it was like one of the last ones in its particular socket type. So I had upgraded it to a Ryzen 7 3700X, I believe, is what I'm using now. But of course, that's an AM4 socket. I mean, honestly, just the fact that it's an AMD means I need a replacement in general for the Mobo. And my RAM was fairly out of date. It was from I believe it was DDR3 RAM. So I had to replace that too. I basically had to replace a very large amount of my computer all at once when I did that. I mean, the soul was still there in a sense because I could still use the hard drive, obviously. Hard drive technology changes occasionally, but not that often. I mean, M2s are a thing now, but we're still mostly on SATA drives. So, you know, changing that out is not too much of a problem. Any game with the gamepad disconnects every 5th to 10th minute or so. Ew. That doesn't sound a whole lot of fun. That sounds incredibly infuriating. I've had a few issues with that before occasionally, but I don't know if that's something that's related to any of the old hardware, because I don't remember if that's been that much of an issue since I changed anything. But also, I did in the last year or so, and by last year or so, I mean like the last 4 months, I changed the case. I finally got rid of the old case that I got when I got the PC, and I got a newer one. But of course, I had to look for one that had a place to put a DVD drive, or, well, optical disc drive in general. I want to say that my drive can do Blu-rays, but I don't know offhand. I got it back in, like, 2014 or something, so, yeah. You know, I am not going to give up anything that'll let me, you know, operate my own physical media if I can avoid it, because I take actually owning the shit that I pay for pretty seriously. For reasons that are, I hope, very understandable and not considered weird in this day and age. But, yeah, so finding one of those is kind of a pain. Yeah. 5.25 inch bay, correct. There's I was digging around on Newegg looking for one. It took me a bit of a time because it feels like that's just not a thing anymore that in a lot of cases. Which is sad. I have a lot of CDs. I have a good chunk of DVDs. It's not even counting all my game stuff, which I could probably rip copies of those to be able to run on emulator. Oh, there he is. It's Magashi again. Why do you lose the wings? That's what I want to know. He should bring them back. I think they looked cool. There gonna be some plot about this guy? Well, I mean, I think mass extinction would also count yourself. You're a part of civilization, you goofus, but that's a whole conversation to be had some other time. Also, that's the clearest instance of the in-universe lettering that I've seen in a while. But for Hauser? Hauser? Doogie Howser? Oh no, it's a guy that we're just now being introduced to. The head of the Illuminus, Hauser. I think his name is Carl F. Hauser, is the full name. Well, semi-full name. We don't have a full name to the initial. Hauser's other self. So, basically, he's a robot clone of Mr. Hauser. Is that what's being revealed now? I mean, obviously, Magashi has a lot of body doubles, because we've seen that that's just a thing with a lot of casts in general. So it's just mass extinction as a thing? Although I have to say, to what end? Wouldn't that include you guys as well? Oh, he's going into rage mode here. We'll see. We'll probably get a little bit of plot point dump pretty soon. Oh. Oh, hey, this is the dude that we fought in PSU episode 1, basically. Wow. Wow, who would have guessed Renvolt Magashi is turning into a seed form for a second time? Now this, they're not timing us, but I believe that this is going to basically just be set up as a boss fight. And once we kill him, we're going to get into more cutscenes or something. Or perhaps not. We'll see. Oh, there we go. PSU, Phantasy Star Universe, gameplay-wise, is quite playable. I think this has been fun to play so far. But plot-wise, it's a hot mess in a lot of cases. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of stuff not really explained. Oh, hey, look, it's another Magashi body double. We basically went into that one already. Like, we should be able to guess that, right? He's come back from the dead multiple times across episode 1 and episode 2. And he's a robot. So the idea of him having body doubles like this should not be surprising. And there he is with the wings. He does kind of look like a mobile suit. And there we go. Direct confirmation that he's a clone of Hauser. But I think that was basically stated fairly explicitly in the earlier conversation. So now we're going to fight a bunch of these. Yeah, PSU, plot-wise, is kind of a mixed bag in terms of a lot of things. Okay, so they want us to not fight, I guess, and just book it. I wonder if we'd get a bonus if we killed a bunch of these dudes. Are there references to the classic games? There are, and there are a lot more that crop up in certain content that I don't have access to. There is not quite a Dark Falls in episode 1, i.e. the story mode for the original Phantasy Star universe, but it's basically the exact same idea. Also, I saw online somebody say that the way that boss fight is structured, which, again, that's up on my stream archive channel on YouTube if anyone wants to see that, because that was a couple of months ago. That was a month ago. But so I saw it written somewhere, I think probably on like TV Tropes or something, because I went to go look up some of the shit that I wouldn't have easy access to. That somebody said that the way the boss fight against what's called Dulk Focus in Phantasy Star Universe is structured very much like the Dark Force battle in PS1. That it's like, it's on this very thin platform that basically forces you to walk right up to it and have it take up your entire viewport. So, like, basically trying to imitate the fact that it looks like the original Dark Falls fight. Oh god, I'm getting hammered here by these machine guns. Oh, did I? Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that I've missed throughout a lot of the series in terms of putting that shit in there. That's my bad. I need to give them a I need to give them a little bit more in-depth of a look at some point. I have other Phantasy Star content lined up for the rest of the year, so that's a thing that there'll be some more in-depth looks at some of that stuff. Ooh, we got a special staff. That's neat. Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it's March 17th, isn't it? Wow. Good point. Didn't even realize. I don't know what time is. Who are we kidding? Yeah, so there's also a ship called the Landeel throughout all of Phantasy Star Universe, which is a reference to Alice Landale's original Japanese surname, which was Landeel before it was translated as Landale. And there's a couple of others here and there. There are, of course, a lot of throwbacks to stuff from a variety of some of the older games. We got a Rappy-themed weapon earlier. The Rappies, of course, were the little yellow penguin bird guys from, most notably from Phantasy Star Online, but I believe they cropped up in some of the previous games. So there's stuff like that. There are weapons that throw back to a large amount of the original content. I believe there's a Naze Claw in this game somewhere. There's even more stuff. There's a proper Dark Falls that you fight in episode 3 of Phantasy Star Universe. But there's a problem. Phantasy Star Universe episode 3, to my knowledge, is completely lost as a game. Because, as far as I know, it was only available on Sega's online server for this game. You had to go online to play through the plot of episode 3. There are private servers for this game. I mentioned this earlier in stream, and they have not been able to restore it as far as I know. Yeah, it was a really, really bad idea on their parts. Sega, there was just a lot of mismanagement surrounding Phantasy Star Universe in general, which is very sad. So, excuse me. So that's kind of lost. Instead, we basically have what is Final Fantasy X, but also with a lot more Phantasy Star elements taking up a lot of the Final Fantasy stuff, and a few other major plot changes here and there. And, so, yeah, Universe is a very different game from a lot of the rest of the Phantasy Star franchise in that regard. There is definitely not the level of crossover that there is in Phantasy Star Online 2, where they have an entire chapter that is basically throwbacks to characters from the original Master System / Genesis tetralogy, with the implication that they are actually those characters. Yes, I don't know why, but it's not showing up today. I don't know what happened, because it was working just fine in the last stream, and it just stopped working. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's because of updating the Stream Elements integration with OBS Studio. I don't know what it is, but I didn't notice it before I started stream, so it's something that I'll look into between now and the next one. Anyway, what happened to the president? Did he run off? Oh, I guess so, in a sense. Leo heard that that's her dad, right? So, and again, the president has been pretty proactive throughout a lot of this story, so it's fully possible that he ran off to go do some stuff without anyone else. And oh hey, here we get an actually, an out-of-engine cutscene, rather. I guess? I suppose you'd call it that. It's pre-rendered anyway. And yep, The residential block has been launched off of the colony because we're hoping to not accidentally do a colony drop on another planet. Yeah, he probably went back to the residential block and got sent into space. Because we should be off of that area, right? That is the current goings-on here. Oh, there he is. He's about to do his big heroic sacrifice, isn't he? It's looking pretty real account as a heroic sacrifice. Well, I guess if you're a figurehead leader of a certain level, then sure. Well, he's gonna save as many people can, I guess. He's having one last moment here. I'm not sure that camera angle is what we really want right now. And the communication system is giving out. But the most important thing that we know here is the president is passing the torch to Laia. As the remains of the Guardian colony burn up upon entry into Param in the atmosphere and crash. I just have the music might just be a little bit quiet. It's not supposed to be completely disabled, but the volume in this game can be incredibly loud at times. The audio balancing, it's a Sonic Team game from the 2000s. Of course the audio balance is shit. So I turned it down. I might have overdone it. So yeah, that's a my bad. Well, we rescued as many people as possible, but the rest of the colony was cast onto another planet, and apparently it didn't cause that big of that much harm because it burned up on entry and probably got separated into too many small parts. Well, there's also a lot of parts where the sound is very quiet in there. So, a Ryzen 7 3700X, I believe, is what I had said. Let me pull that up real quick to double check. Because I still have my receipts in my email. So, that's an easy way to know. Of course, I gotta scroll backwards through a little bit here to pull that up. And yeah, this music is very quiet. You are absolutely correct if you're thinking about that. Yeah, Ryzen 7 3700X. 3.6 gigahertz, 8-core AM4 processor. Yeah. So probably a little bit less new than what you have right now. But there we are. There is the end of Phantasy Star Universe. The odds are pretty good that if we're going to look into the PSP games, that's going to be a lot further down the line when I next remember that they exist, because I want to switch gears for a bit. And of course, as I mentioned before, Chrono Cross is going to be a thing once the remaster comes out. Yeah, I mean, the 3700X still works perfectly fine. It's still quite solid. It's just not the newest thing. That's all. I don't know if more emblem grinding in Sonic Adventure 2 is going to be the next thing that we do, but we'll find out on Friday, I guess. Whenever I decide on something, then. This game, this was a lot of fun to play, both of these games. The plot was a bit of a mixed bag. The plot is better in this game, I think, than in the other one, at least when we had bits of it, because there were a lot of places where there was nothing going on. But as you can see, we are being massively left hanging. They really want you to go and play Episode 3. They want you to give them money to go onto the servers, and oh wait, we can't do that anymore. So, the very few things that I know about the rest of this are basically as follows. That Hyuga is the son of the president of the GRM Corporation, which would explain how he was so familiar with a lot of their more non-consumer grade technologies, I suppose. He still has the seed virus issues. You fight him in, I believe, Episode 3, but you don't kill him. He continues to be a part of the Universe sub-franchise all the way to the end, all the way through Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinite, where due to some weird space magic shenanigans and his seed virus problems, he becomes the part of the new Dooman race. And supposedly he's like really overpowered in that game, but we'll see that some other time, I guess, whenever I get around to it. In a few eons. So, that's about the main thing that I know for sure. I guess maybe dumb humans. I don't have very positive feelings about Hyuga a lot of the time because he's kind of a... He just always has the aura of being a pretentious douchebag, even when he's not, you know, blowing off his duties to hit on girls at a cafe, as he was when we were introduced to him in PSU Episode 1. So, my understanding of the lore of Doomans in this game, Deuman, in this sub-franchise, is that they are the result of whatever photon shenanigans reacting with the presence of seed viruses in the humans and their derivative races. And the lore is a little bit different in Online 2, which I don't remember what it is in Phantasy Star Online 2. I haven't played that game in a very long time, because New Genesis came out, and I got bored with that very quickly because of the relative lack of content when it came out. I understand that there's more content in Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, but even original flavor PSO2 was not really holding my grip too much, so meh. Also, apparently seed form Hyuga is not any of the humanoid seed forms that we were fighting in the ruins on Moatube or on the space station, even though it's very clearly set up to make you think that that's what's going on. So, shrug. Very strange decision all around. And yes, that is going to be the end of the stream for tonight, because we have just seen the credits roll, and therefore we have completed, well, we've completed our goal for this particular playthrough.